Would I be the asshole if I'm not contributing to my brother's master thesis? I, 30F, live in a big city far away from our hometown, in a very rural area. I have been pretty independent for 10 years now. Own my flat, am in a stable relationship, etc. I've always worked very hard by myself, and if my parents supported me, they always told me that they did not think I would succeed. I've been lucky enough to enter 2 very prestigious universities, despite my insecurities. My brother, 26M, is the polar opposite. He still lives home and does not contribute despite being in apprenticeship and earning more money than I do. My mum and dad do his laundry, clean his room, prepare his meals, each night and also the one he needs during the workday, help him with his car, he practices racing which is expensive, and lend him money to get a new one. Everything he is doing, my parents did it for him. They found him his apprenticeship, asking for him, they did his cover letters, they filled application forms. So now he is basically a bachelor, explaining, so fun I can go this far by doing nothing. He'll work in construction. Here is the problem. He has a master's thesis to write this year. And does not want to. He says it's too complicated for him. He never even tried. So my mum is doing part of it, spending her evening on it and wants me to contribute to the other part. I'm kind of pissed since it's like 100 hours of unpaid work. That they always ask me when I have a ton of work. But since it's on my computer, fuck it. It's not real work. I'm sick of this dynamic where he gets everything he wants and never even asks. He asked my parents to ask me instead. Never text or anything. Does not even read what I do for him. One day I had to make a cover letter while I was working OFC and I left blank where I missed data. Tell him to fill the gap, but he sent it like this and my parents were pissed about me. I just spent $300 to get back home for a week holiday, and it's back again with that thesis. If I say no, my parents tell me that it's awful that I don't help my brother to get a better life. And that I should at least do it for my mum, who is spending a lot of time writing it. Parents think I'm reluctant because I'm jealous and bitter, and it's true, maybe I am. What should I do? He will be hired full-time in his company, even if he does not finish his master's thesis. And #X200B. Edit. I listened to you all. I had a discussion with my parents and said that I would stop doing stuff for my brother. I told my mother that it was fraud. It's dangerous. And it's also taking a toll on her mental health because she is spending a lot of hours on this master's thesis, while she has no previous knowledge of the field and she never has been to the uni. She says, she loves to help, but it's not help. I can't do anything more since she does not understand that. My dad was annoying. He, again, blamed me for a traffic fine my brother had 2 years ago. Because I was in the car with 2 friends of mine. I decided to take a step back and will spend the rest of my week seeing my childhood friends around. I'm sick of the toxic traits of my brother, and the fact that my parents enable it. I think I'm going NC with him, and if my parents want to see me, they can still come and visit where I live. I won't report him because I don't want to start a war, but I hope one day it'll backfire on him and he will stop acting like my parents are his slaves. You would be not the asshole 30 yo is old enough to accept they won't change and stop trying to please them. They'll never think highly of you, so time to do that yourself. It's academic fraud. Report him. In ta, what the fuck are you still letting them use you for your brother's benefit? You are being detrimental to yourself. Learn to say no. Not the asshole, and why are you even entertaining this request for a moment? Your brother can do the work or mommy can do it for him, but none of this has anything to do with you. If they push, ignore them. No one can take advantage of you without your permission. Absolutely not the asshole. I work in education and I am horrified that your parents think it is okay to write his thesis for him. This is a hill to die on, in my opinion. I'm sorry your family sucks so badly. Would I be the asshole if I evicted my nephew? My nephew is 19 and moved in with me just over a year ago. His mom and I don't get along because I disagree with how she treats her kids. My nephew recognizes his mom's behavior and wanted to get away ASAP. He has many of his mom's behaviors. He is depressed and has untreated ADHD. He was essentially jobless for the first 7 months. He brought his cat with him and provided for her for a bit, but now not so much. The deal when he moved in was his rent was $250 per mo with a $25 late fee. He cares for his cat, provides, makes 1 meal a week, and does dishes on Tuesdays. I've been putting $100 of that into a savings for when he moves out. BC he didn't have a job for so long I paid for things and took his rent as a debt for him to pay in the future. This adds up to $3,800. He had dirty dishes in his room for 2 months. Didn't wash dishes for a month. I let them pile up because I was sick of giving in. Hasn't cleaned the litter box in his room for probably about 3 months now. And hasn't showered in like 2 weeks, and he just overall smells bad. I understand that a lot of this is part of depression and untreated ADHD. However, he doesn't make an effort until it becomes an ultimatum. Then he falls back into the same old. He understood that he needed professional help, but it wasn't going to be sunshine and lollipops, so he didn't want to do it. He and I work at the same store company and for a bit the same department. I would look for him and he'd be gone. I'd ask him where he was and he'd lie. He got called into the office for time theft and got a warning, should have been fired. He didn't stop, so was given an ultimatum: work or cut back hours. He chose to cut back his hours to work on his mental health. He finally got into a mental health program for depression. He's about 3 weeks in a 6-week program. Twice they have called me because he didn't sign on for the program. The most recent was yesterday. He signed on for the first part but didn't sign on for the second part, so they called me. I was at work and called him a bunch of times and no answer. I called my mom to go check on him. She lives 30 minutes away, so not a quick thing, and he was sleeping. I told him when he was first considering the program that he wouldn't have to worry about rent those months. The first of this month came and went with no acknowledgement of rent, and we didn't know if he was doing this program or not. I mentioned this to him and he forgot. I feel like he isn't taking my help, kindness, or this program seriously. My relationships with my closest sister, my mom, and my best friend have all been permanently damaged because of me defending him, or because I got so wrapped up in my problems I didn't stop to ask about my best friend. I'm at my wit's end. On my days off I don't want to be in my own home. I can't take the stress anymore, but if I kick him out I have no idea where he'll go, and he doesn't even have a car. Would I be the asshole if I evicted him? Edit to add. I'm 25. I work full-time and do college part-time. If that makes any difference to your judgment. You're not the asshole sometimes, despite it being really fucking hard. You have to let people hit their bottom. As long as you're sure he won't die or anything, sounds like you don't have much choice. You're not the asshole. You're trying to help, but every time you cave is just enabling his actions even more. He definitely needs help, but knows he's safe as things are now. He's an adult and able to make his own choices, but if he's not abiding by your agreement, then he needs to know you're serious. What the fuck, that poor cat. The litter box needs to be cleaned every day. Time to go, tough love. You can't help an adult that doesn't want to help themselves. Info: if he has a job, are his paychecks going directly into paying the debt off? Am I the asshole for refusing to help my siblings out with their debt? I have 6 siblings, my family is from a foreign country and tend to have that much. I'll use fake names for privacy reasons. Kate 23, Sam and Eric 24, Louis 19, me and Haley 17. This story may seem fake, but I genuinely am thinking about getting restraining orders. I'm looking for judgment only, so please focus on that. It may seem irrelevant, but I'm gonna explain who things started. Growing up I had a dysfunctional family. It would take one thing like my father getting fired and him lashing out on all of us to start a big fight. I was the only one who didn't participate in the arguments and just kept to myself. At 15 I started working while all my other siblings didn't, and I kept it a secret. 2 months into my job, my entire family showed up and started screaming about how I was a selfish kid who didn't give back to the family by hiding my money and buying myself things. I got fired after the second time they caused an incident. To think they didn't care about where I went every other day for 6 hours. My mom came home with an angry look on her face and she screamed about the fact that we were behind on rent to my dad. He yelled back at her and then my siblings got involved. Things got so bad that my grandparents had to step in and said that they would take one child away from the house to lessen the financial burden and help us out. They told us to vote and I was shocked they all picked me. I was both upset and happy I was leaving. That was all 2 years ago. Now I work 2 jobs to save up for a good school and my grandparents, who are the nicest people I've met. At my workplace I sustained severe burns after I slipped in front of a fryer. The company I was working with was very persistent on me not pressing charges, and my grandparents urged me to settle for an amount of money, around $250K. I'm still working at that job. All the money is with my grandparents, who haven't touched any and waited for my birthday in a couple months. My aunt who was visiting asked why I had some scars on my neck and upper back. I explained the incident to her and didn't think about it after that. My entire family came to my grandparents' door 2 days later and they acted like we were friends. They started a conversation and it eventually shifted into them asking for $45K for somethings, and they said that it was nice the family had some good money saved. I laughed and said that money belonged to me and that they weren't getting any of it. They started the loud arguing and it brought back memories of the toxic environment. I locked myself in my room and called the police while they banged on my door and yelled at me. I called my grandparents, who quickly came with the police and escorted them out. My mom said I was a problem child who never made her happy. My siblings sent me insults and threats, but I screenshotted all of it and ignored them. A couple aunts called me a brat. The whole family is doing a get-together this Friday and I'm worried about what's gonna happen. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. This is your money to compensate you for your injury and pain. They are not entitled to any of it. Obviously, don't go to the get-together, and if possible plan to staying with a friend or someplace they won't know to find you. Be prepared to call the police if necessary. Hopefully you believe you grandparents will protect both you and your money. Not the asshole. That money is yours for any suffering and medical treatments required because of your accident. It's not a windfall for people you haven't seen for years. Not the asshole. Keep your money. Thank goodness your grandparents are not as greedy as them. Put that money into an investment account and let it be a part of your retirement. Keep on working and ignore their laziness. Not the asshole. Other people's financial decisions are not your problem. It would be like throwing money in hole. Not the asshole, and don't talk about the money anymore. I'd literally fake being financially irresponsible and tell them you lost it all day trading or something. When you turn 18, open a bank account at a completely different bank than you've had, and preferably get only online statements. Am I the asshole for telling my sister her kid is terrible and she needs to start being a good parent? I, 23F, have a sister, 34F. Around 8 years ago my sister got married. She then announced that she was having a baby just about 6 months after her marriage. The first kid she had was a boy. We'll call this kid Cameron. After my sister finished her maternity leave, me and my mom have been watching Cameron. Recently she's been going to a ton of parties. At first, I didn't really mind. I mean, it's hard to have a kid and then try and go back to work as if nothing happened. Now Cameron, who is 8 years old now, has been really getting on my nerves. He's insulted my mom's cooking, refuses to do his homework, and talks badly about my sister, which is his mom, since she's rarely around. I remember I had my work open one night, staying up for a late draft because of my English essay. I come back to my room after getting some things from the store. I see my computer shut off with a sticky note saying, I wanted to play Roblox with my friends. I rushed to open my computer and all of my hard work was gone. I'm still in college, I've been studying really hard, but I have to cut up some of my time to watch my sister's kid for her. What's even worse is that her husband is a workaholic and refuses to give up his shifts or breaks to take Cameron even for a second. Now, I have a huge test coming up and none of them want to watch their own child. I still haven't signed into the test center and I only have 2 more days to do so. My sister's been packing for a huge trip to Miami and she insists on leaving Cameron at me and my mom's house. At this point I really wasn't having it. I didn't want to sacrifice my future just for my sister's sake of having fun. I understand that she needs a little break, but I do too, especially when I'm still trying to achieve my goal of getting the job I want with proper education. I went to my sister's house yesterday and I brought her child and dropped him off. She yelled at me immediately saying she was going out and she couldn't take Cameron, so I had to watch him. I turned around and yelled back. I told her that she needs to stop thinking about herself and that she needs to pay more attention to her child. Her kid hardly knows her name. It's ridiculous. She walked over to me and then gives me a little nudge, then starts to beg for me to watch him, saying this is the most important party of her life. I shove her and start rambling about everything I had been so stressed about. I told her that she needed to start being there for her kid, start being a genuine parent, instead of being a deadbeat mother to a kid that acts just like her. I told her Cameron was disrespectful and terrible, then marched off and drove off. She hasn't dropped off Cameron at me and my mom's house today. I am enjoying the peace and I have finally signed the paper I needed to sign to get the date to write my test. I am studying and using my time efficiently now, but I still can't stop wondering if what I said was a little too much. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. As a full-grown adult and as a mother, I cannot wrap my head around why she prioritized parties over her own child. I would understand if there were only a few instances, or like work or school, where she needed you guys to watch the kid, but just constant parties? Seriously? Also, you're still in college. This kid should not be your responsibility at all. You are absolutely not the asshole in this, and you're the real adult here showing concern about her parenting skills and also the father's. The most important party of her life? Your sister is a special kind of awe. Her absent husband is no better. You are not Cameron's parent and you are not responsible for watching him. Tell her your babysitting days are over. Not the asshole, and enjoy the peace and quiet. Not the asshole. You are not a parent to Cameron and thus not responsible for watching him. It is time for his parents to act as parents. That said, your sister is going to continue to push Cameron on you and your mother. You need to find a long-term solution, such as moving out on your own as you are 23. Not the asshole. Cameron is your sister's responsibility, not yours. You shouldn't be required to watch him so she can have fun. Maybe every once in a while, but her going out often is not okay. As a mom who enjoys having fun as well, I'd never have the audacity to expect my family to put themselves out to take care of my child. Not the asshole. Good for you.